All right, it's Friday, February 23rd, just following up on Apple. You can see here after the first bar starting lower, we've worked our way lower to that first target, those pre-market lows. That was to me the high probability play. So at this point, I just scaled out of those options to set up an overtrade trade. I bought the 185 puts here at 242. And I just scaled out at 275 as it was hitting that first target. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's what it is. In this case, Apple is not as volatile as some of the other stocks, so you have to kind of take that into consideration in terms of how many contracts you buy and everything else. But in terms of the movement, this was the high probability play to get down here. Now this becomes the interesting, inflection area. We took out the high the previous day. We're pretty much down to the midpoint of that day with a big buying tail in here. So if we get through there, then we're projecting an outside bar to the downside. And this is on that weekly chart, as I discussed in the first video. The context is it's inside bar breakout to the downside, went lower. This week, we kind of took out that little red low, didn't really rally above the midpoint of that week. And now, after 2 days of kind of lackluster action to the upside, we might be resuming that downtrend towards these targets down here. That's in the bigger picture if the market wants to kind of, after a big run up, kind of fail. If we look at the market overall, which I'm watching, we had the big gap up today. We're still not really in a buy mode. This is kind of, when I see a big gap up, it's exhaustion risk. So I'm looking for, I prefer more of a red to green kind of opening. But if it wants to just hold here and then break above that first bar high, that's another way to digest some of that gap up as well before it heads higher. But we don't have the buy signal yet. If we continue a little, if we break down a little bit from this little opening, then stocks like Apple, like I said, are the weaker ones, and they should get hit hard. Finally, if I look at this, now we want to see if we get an outside bar to the downside. You see the buying tail here. When I look at the nature of that buying tail, if I go to it yesterday, this is the buying tail area. Sometimes you get a big buying tail where it's a big, strong move up, and you see, or it came down and then you get a big bounce up. So there's a lot of buying down there. This one was more of a breakout kind of a thing where it went sideways, 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 then broke out. So it's very possible we can get through that area a little easier. Right now, it kind of projects to the middle of that. When I see consolidation and we come into that, the midpoint of that consolidation is the support area. So I'll see if we get down there, how it reacts to that area, because it was kind of consolidating. But for now, we're breaking through those pre-market lows. This is inflection point number one, down structure on the day. And we're heading towards an outside day to the downside if all works out well. And if, we really close weak on the day, then we could be into next week heading towards those lows as well. So that's, the next kind of thing to think about depending on how today closes. But a good trade from Apple, buying the puts here near the open, expecting that to be taken out and looking for that potential 3-day to the downside. And we'll see if that unfolds.